anyways. But throw in some like blustery weather conditions and it makes it that much more rough. But I will tell you, we're warning you so you know how to plan some extra happiness for your Monday mornings to get you on your way. So here's what we're looking at by Sunday night. You can see those showers overspreading a good chunk of the Ohio Valley, making their way into the mid-Atlantic. And then by Monday, we've got this rain stretching from New England all the way down through the mid-Atlantic as you look farther west on the cold side of the system. Like Dr. Postel was just talking about, you have that chance for that wintry weather. Now, it's going to be fairly quiet on Sunday in terms of the wind, but as we head into Monday, you get those big changes. These ones are going to pick up really quickly by Monday afternoon. 25, 30 mile per hour wind gusts initially in New York City. But look at this, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts in Boston by Monday night. The big concern with that is going to be the risk for some power outages. You could have some downed trees, certainly, and remaining a bit breezy as we head into Tuesday. So here's what it's looking like. Here's the rain that we're expecting across the area Monday night. And then into Tuesday, still some of that rain. So that rain on Monday is going to be that gusty, wet rain. Now, here's the good news. We do have still some drought where we're seeing some of that rain. So we're definitely getting some beneficial rain in the portions of New England that still need that rain. You can see the bullseye of 3 to 5 inches here across portions of southern Maine, and that is exactly where they have some of their worst drought conditions. So we will welcome this rain. Part of the problem is, though, that we do have that risk for some flash flooding with all the rain that we're getting Monday into Tuesday morning. So, of course, with the rain that you need, sometimes comes along with these threats too. Paul.
Hey.
Yeah, we are in for a dash of cold, that is for certain. So let's talk about it. Average, when we see our first measurable snowfall, you can see a lot of these places that are considered the South, like Knoxville, it wouldn't be until around Christmas. Lexington would be right around now on average, but you can see some places see that is early at times as late October, early November, of course. This is what we're looking at as we head into the weekend, starting out as rain for places like Chattanooga and Knoxville, but then eventually it's going to switch over. Nashville, Lexington. Now, you may see that and say, well, that's not below freezing. How is it snowing? It's still going to be able to fall from the atmosphere. It just might not stack up very much. But as you look at Knoxville and Lexington, you see some of those temperatures falling. So you could see a little accumulation there. Paul? Thanks, Paul. And, you know, as you were mentioning, so many people have lost so much in this historic wildfire season that's plagued the western U.S., and that includes Dan Sanchez and Betsy Vinoy. Meteorologist Alex Wallace has the story of a family that is thankful after a night of hell. You're getting it anyways. Just plan on bundling up. We're talking about an Arctic air mass surging south. You know what the purple means. It means it's going to be really cold. Watch as this whole air mass continues to surge southward across the Mississippi Valley into the southeast as we head through the weekend and then into early next week. So here are some of the temperatures that you can expect. Monday morning, Atlanta, you're still in the 50s, but by Tuesday morning, you're in the 20s, lower 20s in Little Rock by Tuesday morning. And this cold sticks around into Wednesday morning, 25 in Atlanta on Wednesday morning. So we're talking about 15 to 20 degrees below average Tuesday morning. That continues into Wednesday as well. Come up, we're going to part how do earthquakes and tsunamis start and finish, as well as sinkholes. So here's what we're looking at. When you have an earthquake, you have that energy. It's that basic when you have one action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you have the earthquake, it displaces the seafloor, and that means the water has to go somewhere. It starts with some smaller waves and they build up. They can move as quickly as 500 miles an hour. So that's why tsunamis can be so terrifying, because they move so quickly. Now, the waves do begin to slowly increase in height in the shallower, more coastal areas. So a lot of times that's why it becomes so dangerous so quickly with those tsunamis. Now, in terms of the sinkhole, you've got sandy soil on top of limestone. This is why you see this happening a lot in the state of Florida, because of this setup like this. The rainfall does filter through the ground. It's kind of acidic. So as we know, water is a solvent. So it dissolves some of the limestone and creates a cave underneath the sandy area. And then the ground collapses out of nowhere. You've got a sinkhole all of a sudden, and we've seen some very large sinkholes. These can even be deadly at times. So a dangerous situation with a tsunami or a sinkhole. Great questions, but you guys are going to be dealing with. It's been kind of a dreary, soggy time, and you've got a little while left on that. Over the past week, we've seen a bullseye of rain here around the New Orleans area, where you're seeing that yellow. That's 3 to 5 inches of rain. In fact, earlier this week, you guys saw about as much rain in one day day as you would typically see for the entire month. So that definitely left to some urban flooding issues. Now, fairly quiet from New Orleans up into Jean Lafitte, La Place, all quiet right now, but it is going to continue to get rainier as we head through your day. You see the system here progressing eastward off the East Coast, and we're going to have that kind of stationary frontal boundary focusing the action across the Gulf Coast. So right now, San Antonio, you've been stuck in it. Houston as well, Corpus Christi, and it's not just rain for you guys. We've got some thunderstorms around too. Not just rain and thunderstorms though, but we've got some of the winter precipitation as you look north around Amarillo. So Texas share a mixed bag of weather currently. Now, as this front continues to hang out, we'll see it kind of bobbling around, and that is going to take the rain into places like Lake Charles. And you can see over the past 24 hours, we've already had some significant rainfall along the Gulf Coast around Galveston Bay, 3 to 5 inches there. Lake Charles, you've been in it. Baton Rouge, you've seen several inches of rain as well. So it's just been a soggy time. With that, the ground is saturated. So we could see some flash flooding. Places like, say, New Orleans, you're about 9 inches above average for where you should be in terms of rainfall. So your ground is very saturated. Quick look at the forecast here, and you'll notice we continue with waves of rain for the rest of the day today into tomorrow as well. So it's going to be a wet time there for a little while. But Paul, we also have some storms that we have to keep. Okay, so now we have some tips as to how to deal with this cold blast. Let's talk about what's going to be going on. So by tomorrow night, we're going to start out as rain in places like Nashville and Chattanooga. It's going to become a chilly rain, and then eventually switching over to this wintry mix in places like Lexington, Nashville. You're getting in on some of that snow flying as we head through the day on Monday. And then places like Knoxville up into Bristol, Blairsville, you're going to be stuck in that snow for a little while on Monday night into Tuesday as well until this finally pulls out and leaves behind some very cold temperatures. With that, anything that does fall and then maybe melt, it could refreeze with these cold temperatures, so you have to keep that in mind. We're having some of the higher totals across the higher elevations of the Great Smoky Mountains there, Gatlinburg. You can see as you look up toward Beckley, portions of the Appalachians getting some of the snow to add up in the higher elevations as well. The American model in great agreement with the European model for the most part, and when you see that kind of agreement, it's pretty much a guarantee that you're going to see some sort of accumulation out of it.
Weather Channel.
And with that, such a good time to remind you as we look toward the Christmas holiday, it's so important to support those local businesses. So let's talk about what's going on in the tropics right now. We have two things that we're watching. We have this area of low pressure. It is southeast of Bermuda, about a 30% chance of development as it moves through the north central Atlantic. It's going to get absorbed by a frontal system, nothing that we really have to worry about here. And then to this system off the coast of Portugal, still a low chance of development there. But as it kind of swirls around in that area, it could gain some subtropical characteristics.
Quakes that we see.
Okay, so we covered the first part of the question. Let's cover the next two parts of the question. Let's talk about tsunamis and then sinkholes. You see it behind me. It's a tsunami. Here's what happens. When you have an earthquake, it shifts the ground. And as we know from the laws of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That means it creates these waves, and those waves can move at speeds up to 500 miles an hour, propagating out from that epicenter of the earthquake. The waves slowly increase in height, though, as they get into the shallower areas, and that is why tsunamis can be so dangerous. Sinkholes, also dangerous in themselves. Sandy soil over limestone. This is why we see a lot of these sinkholes in Florida. The rainfall filters through the sandy soil down into the limestone, and it's acidic, and water is a solvent, as we know, so it dissolves the limestone, creates a cavity, and then you have a problem. The ground collapses in, and all of a sudden, you're stuck in a sinkhole when you're just trying to drive down the road. All of these things, earthquakes, tsunamis, and sinkholes can cause problems, of course, just out of nowhere. Super possible in some spots, so you know what that means, Paul.
That means we got to bring in the heavy hitters.
We do.
Let's bring in Dr. Greg Postel. This next system has got everything to talk about, including the last couple of days of November. We got rain, severe, and a decent snowstorm on kind of brewing.
How about that? I mean, kind of the first one of the year for many in the Ohio Valley. Let's talk about that, because
now making for a rainy weekend in New Orleans as well. That is what you don't want to deal with when you're driving. But we know, especially in these populated areas where there's just nowhere for that water to run off into it, except for its typical places where it ponds, well, you run into some urban flooding issues. The past week here around New Orleans, we've seen 3 to 5 inches of rain. That is about as much as they would see for the entire month of November. So very, very wet soil there. Starting to see some of those showers bubbling up as you look over toward Thibodeau. That is going to continue to fill into New Orleans throughout the day today. So while you're quiet now, that's not going to continue the entire day. We've got a kind of stationary frontal boundary, a frontal boundary that's at least bobbling around in the same area, and that is keeping the focus of these showers and storms in the same place. I will tell you, all morning I've been watching this, and we've had rain set up over the same areas. San Antonio, you're dealing with those storms. We've got that winter weather up over Amarillo, and then Houston, you've been stuck in some at least showery weather down to Corpus Christi, the rain as well. So this is going to start to cause some issues, especially for those flood-prone places. Lake Charles, this is knocking on your door. This is going to continue to lift in. Austin, you as well, you're dealing with that rain. Here's what we've seen in the past 24 hours. Now, 3 to 5 inches of rain might not sound like a lot, but when you're talking about in 24 hours, kind of over a lot of the same areas, falling on places that are heavily populated, that's causing some issues. That's slowing down traffic. That is getting in the way of your day. So some nuisance rain, certainly. We've got that risk for flash flooding along the Gulf Coast. San Antonio, you're getting into that. Galveston Bay up into Alexandria, Baton Rouge, you're not out of it either. So here's a quick look at the region as a whole as we move through the day. Waves and waves of rain. New Orleans, especially for you, it's not going to be raining constantly, but you will keep that rain in the forecast. Really, tomorrow will be the day when you see the bulk of your influence in New Orleans. Houston, by tomorrow, you'll start to see things clearing up a bit more, but we'll still have some of that rain in East Texas. So the winter weather will be on the backside of the system while the rain and storms out ahead of it. As mentioned, you're going to have some gusty winds along with it. So let's plan it out here. Sunday, you shouldn't really notice those winds, but by Monday they will begin to pick up, especially by Monday afternoon. New York City, DC, you're getting in on this, as well as the Qs. Boston, though, 50-60 mile per hour wind gusts. I bet we are going to have at least a wind advisory for that, and I would think we'll probably have some power outages maybe because these winds will be so gusty. Even into, say, Tuesday morning, that will be sticking around. So Monday night you can see those showers, certainly gusty showers. Tuesday, the rain still across New England, and then as you can see looking back toward the Ohio Valley on Tuesday, still seeing some of that snow. Now, if we're trying to find the silver lining in this, it's that a good chunk of New England is still dealing with some drought, and the areas that are seeing at least moderate drought are the most of the areas where we're going to see some of the higher totals of the rainfall. So we will take that. You just hate when you get it all at once.